Scott Richards Art Gallery. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So, how did this incredible image come to be? This work by Robert Silvers, which is certainly going to be a hot property.
I think you're right. Robert is always looking for iconic figures and iconic imagery to incorporate as his artwork. And both he and I saw the recent film Milk, and although we certainly knew who Harvey Milk was, it definitely brushed us up on our history, but most important, it was very inspirational, and every artist needs to be inspired. So he had seen it, and we had talked about it, and he knew that, of course, my gallery is here in San Francisco, so I was sort of in a key point area to probably put together the information and the needed materials for him to embark on this.
Mm-hmm. Now, you and your wife own together the Scott Richards Contemporary Art Gallery. What has this process been like for you as a couple? I mean, has this been not only an art education, but a community education?
Very much so. Our business is based here in San Francisco, but it's a very international business. And so I think for the 11 years that we've been here, although we consider ourselves San Franciscans now, there is certain aspects of the community that we just haven't been as close with. And so this project has been fantastic. I got to meet some of the community leaders, and we worked together so well, and everyone was so excited about it, and I'm glad to say that I've made some new friends here, and Robert as well, so it's been great.
You know, sitting here in Harvey's shadow is quite something. Tell us a little bit about this image. How does he do this, and what is this image made of?
Yeah, this is called a photo-mosaic, and that is a term that Robert Silvers trademarked back in the 90s. He was a student at MIT, and he created this process. It helps him, it aids him in determining which photos can go to which areas on what we call a master image, and in this case, Harvey Milk's portrait, an image, by the way, provided to us by Dan Nicoletta, a photographer here in town, of course, that most people in the community know. And so while he was at MIT and he created this, it has really blown up into an international phenomena. He did very well in Europe, in the United States, and did more iconic imagery like Marilyn Monroe, for instance.
Right, which is one a lot of us have seen.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably some of the most recognizable aspect of Robert's work. Marilyn Monroe, currency, things like that. JFK, Elvis. There's been a number of images that he's done, and so it just sort of made sense, Harvey Milk, particularly to this area. Yeah.
Now, besides being just an amazing process, this is also something that's going to do good for the community, but also talk a little bit about what actually makes up that image. What are the images and how many that are part of Harvey Milk's portrait?
There are over 2,300 images in this, and they were all provided by the GLBT Historical Society here in town, and out of their archives. And slowly, what the artist has to do is, once he gets all of these images, he has to basically look at each one of them and decipher whether they're usable and change the resolution, whatever needs to be done so that they can be used. So it is a slow process, but one that, because everyone on board with this, particular Paul Boneberg at the GLBT, Dan Nicoletta and Robert, we all came together, then it was able to come together so quickly. I think there was a desire, a rush to get it ready for Pride.
How does an artist go about selecting images to find 2,300 to make up a portrait? I mean, is it literally going through each image, and is it sometimes more than just a visual connection, but they're going, wow, that's an image of Castro from the 70s, or that's an image of the White Night riots, that sort of thing?
It actually can be a little frustrating, because sometimes you'll see images that are really key to the subject matter, but you can't use them because they don't have a shape or a tone that needs to be used on the master image. So ultimately, the master image here dictates what you can use and what you can't use. And so it's like putting together a puzzle in reverse. And so the key for us, for Robert in particular, is to get a collection of images that is already dedicated to one particular subject matter. And that's the whole key to Robert's work. No matter what the imagery is, if you have Marilyn Monroe, it's going to be made up of thousands of images, of photographs of Marilyn Monroe. So it's always this intrinsic, this relationship between the matrix images and the greater images.
And so all the images in this portrait are images from GLBT history.
Every one of them. Yes.
So, but is necessarily Harvey Milk in each image, or it's about the movement?
No, actually, Harvey was in very few images, which is kind of interesting, and that's how we came to bring Dan Nicoletta in on this as well, because the few images that did have Harvey Milk in them, they were group shots or at a distance or in a parade or something like that. And Robert was very frustrated in being able to really pick something out and get it into resolution enough to really work. And so we got in touch with Dan here locally, and we were able to work it out. And he was great to work with, and it came out great.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear Dan Nicoletta getting a lot of credit. As we were talking about before the show, ever since the movie Milk, it seems like every third person in the Castro says, I knew Harvey, and it's probably someone who didn't even walk in and buy film from his camera shop.
Yeah.
But Dan Nicoletta was there. He was a young man who worked with Harvey, and while everyone was politicking and changing the world, he was there with his camera. And to this day, he is so modest about his work, and he has a veritable museum of internationally important images. And so now to have them actually part of a photo of image of Harvey is just incredible.
He was very approachable and very happy to be on board and be considered for this, and it was great, and I hope to get to know him a little bit better and what he does on his own.
So when this all came together, you obviously made a trip to the Gay and Lesbian Historical Society.
Yes.
Did you actually see the coat in which Harvey was assassinated?
I did, and I wasn't prepared for it ahead of time. I was, my eyes were eye level looking at everything and not looking down. And when Paul showed it to me, it was very emotional. It was very moving. And but I think it's something that everybody in this community, gay or straight, needs to go see.
Yeah. This whole year seems to have been about Prop 8 and Harvey Milk. What has it been like for you as a straight married man to see some of your friends and colleagues go through this year?
It's difficult. You don't know how to offer thoughts or because I'm from a small little town in Florida. So I think that. I think that what we're all going through is something where we're all growing together. And I think that the fact that, for instance, Robert Silvers is a heterosexual male, so am I, but we didn't really discuss the fact that Harvey Milk was homosexual or not. It just was an inspiring icon. And so I think that for me, my own growth and being a part of this community, having so many friends and artists and clients that are part of the gay community, is you sort of wake up and you realize that we're all in this together and all growing together, and so we hope that everyone else sort of jumps on board before too long.
Now this year certainly has been a challenge economically for a lot of people, certainly a gallery owner. How important is the LGBT market to a gallery owner, to you in specific? Is it a niche for you?
No, it's extremely important. Let's face it. There's some great taste in that community, and so art. We have a lot of collectors from that community, and we look forward to pulling more of them and doing more work with them, whether they be artists or whether they be clients. No, it's definitely a target. It's definitely something we're involved with.
Now, this piece of work, which is just called Milk, is going to be on sale where, how much, and how many? Because this is not something that just anyone can buy.
Well, no, you see, Robert's work typically is in editions of 6 or 12, in keeping with most famous photographic-based artists. This actually, we expanded to an edition of 100 for a couple of reasons. Number one, we did want it to be accessible, given the economic times you were discussing, but we also knew that it would be very, very popular very quickly in this area. And so it is available now. Actually, this is the one that some of your viewers are seeing now is actually the first one that was completed.
So this is the number one.
This is it.
So when did you first see this?
About 20 minutes ago.
So this is the unveiling.
Yeah. Now I've seen. Of course, you see the image digitally, but you never saw it mounted to aluminum and fully completed as it is now. So that was about 20 minutes ago.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's available through the gallery. It's $3,500. Which I don't want to belittle $3,500, but Robert's work typically starts
goes
about
for much more.
$12,000. Yeah.
And of course, this will help raise funds for two community organizations?
The GLBT Historical Society, who provided the images, and also the LGBT Community Center.